Hi everyone. So one of the questions I've gotten fairly frequently over the last year or two regarding simple GIS is how do I reproject data from one map projection to another? And it's pretty straightforward in simple GIS, but since it has been something that has been somewhat frequently asked, I thought I would make just a quick video demonstration on how I would project data from one map projection to another. And specifically, we're talking about vector-based data. So this would be like shapefiles or data points that are added from an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file. So to begin with, I have a simple GIS project file pulled up, and I have the OpenStreetMap layer added as my base map data. And if I look in my status bar at the bottom of my map, I see that the current map projection is set to Web Mercator. And that's pretty common for most of your tile mapping services. So that's what it's currently set to. And I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of data layers to my map. So I'm going to come here to my Add Data as New Layer to Map tool. And I'll click on this tool and I'll get my Add Layers dialog box. And in my file selection, I have in this particular folder a couple of files that I'm going to add. One is a shape file called natural.shape. And as I double click on this particular file, I'll get a layer properties dialog box that will appear. And in this layer properties, I can see that the map projection for this particular layer is set to WGS 84 decimal degrees. So it's in a geographic projection, WGS 84. So I'll just go ahead and click apply. And I see if I kind of move this dialog box, it has added this layer to my map, and it's actually reprojecting this data in this layer on the fly from the WGS 84 geographic to the current projection of my map, which is the Web Mercator. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this Excel spreadsheet. So this is just a list of points I have saved in this spreadsheet. So I'll double click on this Excel file. First I need to confirm which worksheet contains the data points that I'm interested in. So it's on sheet 1. And then I'm also going to confirm that the first row contains my column names or field names. And being an Excel spreadsheet or CSV, is naturally it's going to assume that your data is in latitude, longitude coordinates. So it assumes it's in WGS 84 decimal degrees. And it also looked at the available columns in the data, and it kind of detected and said, okay, I see you have an LON column. I assume that's your longitude or X coordinate field, and same thing with the latitude. So it assumes that I have a LAT column, which it assumes is the latitude, which is all correct. So there's no need for me to change anything here. So I'll just simply click apply. And it's going to add this layer to my map as well, and it pulls up the layer properties. And again, it's because it is an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file, most of the time it's assuming that this is in latitude, longitude coordinates or WGS 84 decimal degrees. So again, all of this is correct, so just click apply. And now I'm going to go ahead and close my add layer dialog box. And I see that I've added my 2 data layers. Like I said, it has reprojected these on the fly, even though both of these data layers are in geographic WGS 84. And my current maps in Web Mercator is reprojecting these in memory to match the projection of my map. So now if I wanted to permanently change the map projection of these layers, I would need to export them to a new layer. But to do that, I'm going to first change the map projection of my view to the desired projection that I want these layers to be in. So for instance, if I was to just export them as they are, they would export to Web Mercator projection. Or I could change this projection of my map by coming to my View menu and selecting Set View Properties. And I could change this to whatever map projection I desired. So for instance, if I click on my list here, and if I wanted to change this to a NAD 83 state plane projection, I would just come to my list and select the projection I'd want to change it to. So in this case, I'm going to change it to a NAD 83 Louisiana South State Plain map projection. Click Apply. And I'm going to give it a chance because the imagery is a little intense to reproject it, but it did. And so it has reprojected all of this data in memory on the fly to the NAD 83 Louisiana South State Plain. But again, it's doing this in memory, so it hasn't permanently changed the shapefile or this Excel spreadsheet. So if I wanted to permanently create a new shapefile using this map projection, it would just involve simply exporting this data to a new shapefile. And so I just select the layer that I'm wanting to export. So I'm going to start with the natural.shp shapefile. So I'm just going to click on it to make it active. Come to my geoprocessing menu. Come down to export features from active layer to new shapefile. I get this dialog box that comes up, and I'm going to click on this little folder icon to bring up my file selection dialog box. And I would just go to the folder where I wanted to create the new shapefile and then just give it a name for the new shapefile. So I don't want to overwrite my existing one. I couldn't do that anyhow because I'm currently using it in my map. But I'm just going to append NAD 83 to the name so I can distinguish it from the original shapefile, and click Save. And then I need to, very important, make sure in my export options that I select, let me get rid of this file box so I can see the map again. So I'm going to, in my export options, make sure that I select all records. If I don't, then it would just look for the selected records to export. And if I didn't have anything selected, it would just create an empty shapefile. So I'm going to make sure I have all records selected. Click Apply. Give it a second to process, so it's actually going through that shapefile, and for every record, reprojecting it into the NAD 83 projection and writing that out to my new shapefile. It's now creating this new spatial index for this new shapefile. And then once it's finished, you should get a dialog box asking you to add it to your map. Sometimes it gets hidden behind the main application window. So I'm going to come here, click in my taskbar, and I see my dialog box here that pops up. It says, do you wish to add new layer to your current view? I'm going to select yes. And it now adds it to my map. And if I was to double click on this layer, I can actually see that the layer projection is indeed now NAD 83 Louisiana South. So that is the projection that this layer is in. That's what the data natively is in that layer. And likewise, if I turn off my points for a second and turn off my original shapefile and turn on my new, you'll see that again it is in the map. And likewise, let me turn this off. I can do the same thing with the Excel data, the Excel spreadsheet. So I'll turn on these points. And now I'm going to create a permanent shapefile from these points, and I'm going to save it into the projection of my map, which is the NAD 83 State Plain. So I'm going to come here again, making this my active layer, so it's highlighted. And under Geoprocessing, Export Features to the new shapefile. Enter the name for my new shapefile. So I'm just going to call this Places. And again, I'll append the projection into the name to distinguish it from the original. Click Save. And also, again, need to make sure I want to export all records, and click Apply. Give it a second to process, and now it's asking me again, do I wish to add this new layer to my current view? And click Yes. I turn this layer off and turn on this layer. I now see that it has added it into my map. If I double click on it, I see that the projection is NAD 83 Louisiana South. Again, this is the projection of the actual layer. And so that's all it is to it. I have now exported both of these data layers that were originally in WGS 84 geographic coordinates to NAD 83 Louisiana State Plains South. So that's it. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you'd like, please visit our website. It's simplegissoftware.com. You can read about our different products and also view many different tutorials that's available on that website as well. Thank you.